What's going on YouTube? So I got asked, was Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite too good for its own good? You want to come out and make an impression. And he definitely hit with that record. Depends if you had the cassette or you had the album. I know Leon Ware did, the late great Leon Ware did production and co-wrote it, and Wawa Watson was on it. It had so many jams. I know I've been asked this question before, and that's why I talk about the 90s as the last real era that we cared about music, because talk about debut albums that were so incredible that you just didn't want to put them down, that you just couldn't leave them, especially that first side. If you had the cassette, you know exactly what I mean, or if you had the vinyl, you know exactly what I mean. He had definitely got it right with the groove, with the tempo, with the whole vibe. He definitely had a smoothness that was, and a mystery and an aura going. But was the album too good for its own good? People made a statement back then with their coming up with their debut albums. It used to be sometimes anything past your first album was always the mark that you were gonna be good to go. And then back in the day, it could be your fifth album. I could do a whole list about people who hit with that fifth album, because that fifth or sixth album was the one. That was a different day and time. Today, you got to hit with your second song or you're done. People just don't even stream you or mess with you. But people were coming out of the gate in the 90s trying to hit hard, sometimes with that debut album. And there were some exceptions before that, but there was something about this album that just definitely hit a certain way. And it still sounds good, you know. Now, Fortunate, the song he did with R. Kelly, is still probably my last favorite song. I know Pretty Wing, I mean, that one was nice. I like that. But Fortunate is probably like the last cut he did where I'm like, I will listen at any time. But I think his first album was pretty much his best. I mean, he had that kind of vibe and aura when he did MTV Unplugged. He had that vibe and aura where he looked like he was going to be on to something. Like he was going, because I remember Greg Tate, who wrote for the Village Voice, his quote about Maxwell after that album was like, "This guy got a Purple Rain type of thing in him." You know, he ended up doing "Lady in My Life" on one of those Michael Jackson shows. He didn't reach the heights of Michael Prince. He didn't reach the heights of Lionel Richie. He was like, a cat that, had he stayed in that lane, would have definitely been challenging El DeBarge, but he didn't have the crossover that El DeBarge had, and that's the thing. He never had quite that song. Fortunate was probably like that song. He had some other songs, but it was some about how everything came together um, with that debut album. It was a tough record, and it's one of those kind of situations where you wish that there was more of that unreleased. Because I believe that if he stayed in that vein, he would have been even stronger than he was, because we never got the totality. And he had aura and mystery about his thing too when he came out. So the question was, Maxwell Urban Hainsworth, was it too successful for its own good? Some ways you got spoiled, because that was the last of an era when artists put out music. You could so see a 20-year career. You could so see 4 or 5 albums that you couldn't wait to get. And in his case, it didn't hit. I like the unplug. Hit and miss with Embryo. I thought that was okay. And then the record after that. Basically, with me and Maxwell, the first album gave me some hits and I'm good. Like to see him as a live performer, but he really was on to something when that record came out. I just think it hit differently. And it's the only frustrating thing is that when an artist hits like that, can you ever get that genie come out the bottle? Was that the best it was? So I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think. Please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another shit if you like. Hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm on one time. Peace.